Hello everyone, Kitty Foss here, your storytelling astrologist, reader of the stars for July 21st, 2025. And I'm going to touch a little bit on July 22nd, 2025. I will most likely come back to talk a little bit more about that because something is a kind of unusual. And for me, in my own personal life, July 22nd is a day that has changed many things in my life. In my family growing up of origin. And then 5 years ago is when we started the group Tuition of the Soul, and it went live. So it is an energy I often work with and work around, that 722 energy. So let me talk a little bit about July 21st. So we have our moon that is in Gemini. Gemini is all about communication. It's about that duality of what things mean. It's really that fifth agreement: be skeptical and learn to listen. It is an energy that is always about our experiencing things. And most of the day, the moon is in Gemini. At 3:52 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, though, the void of course steps forward, and that it will be there until tomorrow morning at 8:26 a.m. And so that will be about your own moon. Remember, the moon knows our secrets. It's our private energy. It is what we understand both ancestrally and how we process things. As a kid, I learned a poem: nobody sees what I can see, for back of my eyes there is only me. And that is the energy always of the moon. And when it's void, of course, it's about your energy. So if you've never looked at where your moon placement is, I recommend. There's all kinds of free charts. You can put your birth date in and be able to find out most likely what your moon is. If you don't know your time, that may or may not affect that. It certainly will affect what the house placement is. But anyway, let's talk about the 21st. So the moon in Gemini experiences our secrets, our most private and hidden truths are being communicated, especially because of the Mercury that is retrograde. When we take the time to move inward and really reflect, be an observer, even at your own thoughts, that moon is able to be activated in that Mercury energy, Mercury that is in Leo. So it really is our most intense communication of our passions and our experiences and our creativeness. When we take the time again to be quiet in Mercury retrograde, don't be surprised today if things technologically are a little bit askew, including how we may see and secretly be standing in our own way sometimes. Some people call it sabotage, but it's usually not that aware. And we stand in our own ways often because we hold on to beliefs that are outside of us, beliefs that were handed down even ancestrally. And today is one of those days where we can really look at that energy and look at what is it I want to be and how am I showing up in this world. This energy is in conjunction with our Venus energy: beauty, harmony, value. So that's why we're really looking at our own beliefs, including how do we speak to ourselves even when we make a mistake, even when we fall short or with our shortcomings, fall short of where we want to be. And today is a day we get to examine that and look at the value of that. And we're willing to take on a new kind of love for ourselves. And we truly love ourselves and who we are and are comfortable, it is so much easier to tap into that unconditional love and unconditional affection for others and be able to step back and not get into our judgments or the part of our brain that is trying to see a pattern. It's only out there, whether we call them judgments or whatever, to see a pattern that makes sense to us. When we tune in, we're able to step back from the need to do that and really look at our own selves. Especially for this love of self, examine your own conversations within your head. What kind of language do you use with yourself? As the moon moves into void of course this afternoon, there's a discernment that steps forward. It happens to be Mars, so a good step over, which is about aligning our will in that Virgo. All of the little small patterns that we've been looking at all day, all the little understandings we have, all of our own secrets, that because our own moon is now stepping forth. It's looking at those patterns and kind of think of it as you have a mosaic and kind of switching the tiles out or realizing that color doesn't quite go there. And we're aligning it in all the smaller ways to create the pictures, the systems, the structures that better serve us. So here's my little bit about tomorrow. because today is really about that examination to support our lives, all of those things. So we look at the 22nd, 22 being a master number, the master teacher. It's the healer teacher in us. The moon moves into Cancer, its home placement, at 8:26 a.m. And for a very short period of time, a little over an hour, we have both, once again, the moon in Cancer, and we have the sun in Cancer at its 29th degree, resetting the karma around how we're moving forward with nurturing, how we're looking at the ebbs and tides of our life, with the moon being in a very strong placement. Again, it is the placement of its own energy. And the last time, think about where you were on June 25th, and maybe what happened around June 25th, because that is when the last new moon was, and that is the time that they were both in the same energy. So, and that doesn't usually happen that you have them both in the same energy. It's a very strong energy because it's about our secrets, our private energy, and it's the sun. It happens to have been the energy of a moon that has been in the sun, what moves us forward, what we can see, what our work is. We have that hour where something is being revisited. There is some handoff that is taking place in all of this energy that has been quite the July, of course, in my life. So pay attention to what that is, because the sun will step into Leo, the ruler of Leo, at 9:29 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So there's this 1 hour. I would recommend, if you can, find a way to, it's Eastern Standard Time, find a way to cut that time aside. Take a look at the 25th ahead of time. See what was going on at that point in your life, and pay attention to what is stepping forth to be nurtured, to move us forward, for us to understand who we are with the energy that is the sun, of course. The sun that is always working to move us forward. The sun watches all we do, and moon knows all of our secrets. And in the same energy, see what they're kind of exchanging before the handoff goes into the sun's placement of how to move forward. Inspirational energy. I'm Kitty Foss, your storytelling astrologist, reader of the stars. I will be back tomorrow to talk a little bit more about this. Have an amazing day. Namaste.